See, what I'm trying to say is that, for example, when we talk about history of India, okay, so for prelims, everyone focuses mainly on modern history, modern history. Now, of course, you do have ancient history, you do have medieval history as well, but you do not need to focus on post-independence history. Post-independence history is entirely when it comes to mains. Once again, when we talk about history, okay, there's also world history. But once again, world history is only for mains. You don't need to study world history. Okay. So when we talk about history over here, with respect to your prelims, what is required? With respect to your prelims, you have ancient, you have medieval, and you have modern. Correct? Okay. Now, see, I was telling you earlier in the morning, it is very important that when you prepare for these exams, be it UPSC or KPSC, what is important, you have to be smart. Again, I'm reiterating myself, I'm repeating myself, rather than knowing what to read, it is more important to understand what not to read. You have hundreds and hundreds of books, each of them is going to say the same thing, but it is not required that you read everything. It is not required that you study everything, because see, no matter what you do, you will never ever be able to complete the syllabus. That is not what is going to happen. If you think that, if you have this mentality that you are going to be perfect before going and attempting the exam, that is not going to happen. What is necessary is that you accept your imperfection and you try to improvise in that particular situation that is in your, when you're in your examination hall. That is what is mostly required. So what I'm trying to say is that even if you have history, even if you have not studied ancient history, even if you've not studied medieval history, it is fine. But ensure that modern history is pakka. As much as possible, as much as possible. Don't try to say that, ancient history I will study thoroughly, medieval history I'll study thoroughly, modern history I'll study thoroughly. That is not the approach that you require. So if I say history, modern history, study it thoroughly. But ancient and medieval history, you can reduce it. You can reduce the amount of time that you spend. Even if you skip medieval history, it is fine. Because the number of questions that are asked, because when you have so many subjects, number of questions that are asked comes down. It actually comes down per subject. But again, if you compare it with polity, that is your Indian constitution and political systems, every year you will have anywhere from 10 to 15 questions. Now, here you cannot afford to lose these 10 to 15 questions. 10 to 15 questions is anywhere from 20 to 30 marks. Now, the book that you have to read is your Lakshmikant. Now, people will tell you, along with Lakshmikant, take a Barat or read D.D. Basu. There are different books that are available. Absolutely not. No matter what happens, you're going to stick to Lakshmikant. If anything comes out of Lakshmikant, 90% of the candidates will not be able to answer those questions, hence it is not required. Just be comfortable with it. So you have Lakshmikant, read Lakshmikant at least it is an overstretch, but minimum 5 times you have to read before you go and write the exam. So see, when it comes to Indian constitution and political system, I only want you to read Lakshmikant. Okay. When it comes to Indian economy, obviously you need to read your economic survey, you need to read your budget. Now, again, when I say economic survey, again, people differ. You can either, some suggest that you take the actual economic survey and go through it, or else you also have the synopsis of the economic survey, which is released by many coaching institutes. That is also fine, because that is more concise. The budget also, please don't read the entire budget. Absolutely not necessary. Many coaching institutes, if they provide, please take that, please only read that. Reduce the work or effort that needs to be put in. When somebody else is putting in the effort, don't do that donkey work. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Apart from that, the material which they give is fine. You can use that after attending classes. Before attending classes, you'll find it difficult to understand, or else you can use Vivek Singh for Indian economy as well. Okay. After that, you have geography. In geography, you have physical and Indian geography. Okay, so again, geography, if it has been made clear as to what to study, you may stick to that. If you ask me for geography, I would say the best is NCRT. Best is NCRT, and after that, you can go with GC Leong. After that, based on your class notes, whatever is there, and the notes that they give is more than enough. Don't pick up Kullar or Majid Hussain. That is not necessary unless geography is your optional subject. Majid Hussain, at least to some extent, is fine. If you take up Kullar and say that I will start reading from Kullar and all, one entire year you'll spend reading only geography. Okay, it is not necessary. It is not necessary, even though people say. History of India, once again, I think pretty much everyone must be reading from Spectrum. Okay, ancient medieval, I would again suggest, think about it. If you have time, read it. If you don't have time, you may skip it. I wouldn't suggest you skip it. I'm saying, considering the amount of time, the paucity of time, if you are attempting this year and you don't have enough time, you may consider skipping medieval and ancient. Okay, environment and ecology. Now, of lately, what is happening is that environment and ecology has become entirely current affairs. Fundamental concepts of environment and ecology, they're not asking many questions. Most of it has become current affairs based. So again, but that does not mean that there is something stopping them from asking those fundamental questions once again this year. So just because there is more of current affairs with respect to environment and ecology does not mean that you skip the fundamental concepts. You may, they may, all of a sudden they may ask questions on your ecological pyramids with respect to energy transfer and the food web and food chain. That can happen. Okay, so environment and ecology, once again, book I would say again, Shankar, IAS. Again, it is too much and it is unnecessary, actually, if you ask me. Shankar, I will bit, it is this big, and you don't need to read so much for environment and ecology when it comes to those fundamental concepts and topics. So again, if you ask me for environment and ecology, I would say again read their notes, which is small, or any other coaching institute's notes, which is small, because fine. No, that is what I'm saying. So their environment and ecology is actually simple. The ones which they give, it is actually simple. Sorry? More than enough. If you prepare for UPSC, it is more than enough. See, KPSC is nothing but dilution of whatever is there for UPSC. On top of that, specifically focus a bit on Karnataka. For example, if I talk about geography, also about Karnataka geography. What happens is that many of us from the state itself, say for example, if we are in Bangalore and if you're preparing for UPSC, we would not even know the proper geography, topography of Karnataka itself. Many of us don't even know the proper districts and the distribution of districts in Karnataka itself. So that is why I said, so if I talk about history, there's obviously Karnataka history. In UPSC, you don't have to focus on Karnataka's histories no matter what. They're not going to ask about Kittur Rani Chennamma. Correct? They're not going to ask about Sangoli Raina. Absolutely not. You may use their examples in writing answers. For example, the role of women in freedom struggle or something like that, contribution of women or the heroism or something about women's role in Indian history. Then you can use Karnataka's figures as well, personalities as well. Apart from that, you absolutely don't have to study Karnataka's history or Karnataka's geography. But of course, environment and ecology is always the same for both UPSC or KPSC. But again, KPSC is again dilution. KPSC, keep it even more simpler. Even for UPSC, I would suggest keep it simple. But for UPSC, KPSC, even more simpler. Okay. Again, science and technology. Science and technology, please don't read your NCRT. Absolutely not necessary. For KPSC, reading your NCRT CBSE books may help, but I'm hoping you are already aware of those fundamental things or fundamental concepts in science and technology. You're already aware of those things. For example, I gave you the example of microorganisms in KPSC. I don't think you have to sit and read all those things. Even if they ask fundamental concepts in physics or chemistry or biology, mostly it will be from biology itself. You should be able to answer. That is my guess. If not, I don't think it is necessary that you spend a lot of time. For UPSC, science and technology, once again, mostly it is your current affairs based. The only problem is that sometimes they tend to go few years back. It is not possible for you to cover, for a person to cover the current affairs of 3 to 4 years. Unless the person has been preparing for 3 to 4 years, it is very difficult. So for those who are preparing for the first time, it becomes very difficult. And neither is it necessary that you read current affairs of 2 3 years, max to max 1 year. For example, if you are writing your UPSC exam this year, prelims, if you are giving prelims this year, maximum I'm saying last year's January onwards. If you don't have time, last year's July onwards is sufficient. If you do have time, please do read from January onwards. Okay. Again, science and technology is mostly your current affairs. So again, what happens, for example, if I'm taking science and technology, again, I told you, science and technology is going to be a foundation. You have to build on that foundation using your current affairs. For example, this year's mains, there was a question on S-400 rockets. S-400 is nothing but your airborne early warning control system. Now, in class, we had discussed what is airborne early warning control system, and later, of course, we have discussed what is S-400 as well. But what I'm trying to say is that you have to use that fundamental concept of AVAC system to explain S-400. So because what again I'm trying, it is not possible to cover everything. Please understand that. Do not get that idea that I will write this exam only after I am perfect. This is one big problem that occurs, because what I've seen is that it is a normal tendency. It is a normal tendency with respect to everyone, be it me or be it you. One thing which everyone says is practice what? Test series. Take up test series, practice as many papers as possible, be it prelims or be it mains. So here what happens, one big problem with everyone is that, for example, tomorrow is your polity prelims test. Okay. So you would be reading polity. Okay, 100%. If polity, if Lakshmikant is this big, you will not be able to finish everything. Even if you finish everything, you will not be able to read everything. So what happens? You feel normal. It is a normal tendency. It happens with everyone. You feel that let me not take it tomorrow. Tomorrow I will read polity properly. Let me take it day after tomorrow. Don't do that. Naale exam idya. If tomorrow is the exam, you will take it tomorrow. It doesn't matter if you've read it or if you've not read it, because in the examination hall before the exam, you will not be able to revise everything. You will not be able to remember everything, but still you'll have to make informed guessing. I'm not saying plain blind guessing. You have to make informed guessing. So never ever get that idea into your head that only when I am thorough with the syllabus. For example, if I'm talking about polity, only once I'm done with Lakshmikant properly once or twice, I will give the practice paper. Absolutely not. If tomorrow is the test, you'll give the test tomorrow. The reason why I'm saying is that when you take test series, the test series is not to test your level of preparedness. Even though if many of these coaching institutes say that we will give you all India level ranking, absolutely not. That is there. That is all a added benefit that you get to gauge your level of preparation with respect to your peers. Okay, but let me be very clear. Practicing question papers is very much a part of your preparation. It is not to gauge your preparation. Please understand, test series, solving question papers is not to gauge your preparation. Rather, it is a part of your preparation. The reason I'm telling you this is because, for example, you take any prelims question, it is going to have 4 options. Okay, and UPSC is not so dumb that, for example, if A is the correct option and you have B, C, and D, it is not that B, C, and D is some random vague statement. That B, C, and D is actually the answer to some other question that might be asked. So when you solve a test series that is 100 questions, you would have actually gone through 400 statements, correct? A, B, C, and D. I'm generally saying you would have gone through 400 statements. Now, if you have solved 10 question papers, how many statements? You would have gone through 4,000 statements where you try to understand where did I go wrong, what is it, what is correct, what is not correct, why is it correct and why is it not correct, and you also come to know where are you going wrong in terms of your understanding, in terms of your preparation. So solving papers is a part of your preparation. It is what, Feb. If you've not already taken up any test series, at least from March onwards, March, April, May, June 6th, right, is your exam. You have to solve papers. It doesn't matter if you've covered the entire syllabus or not. It doesn't matter if you prepared or not. It doesn't matter if you remember anything or not. You have to take a test series. You have to solve test series. I understand. Today you'll have Josh, and tomorrow you might go and take up a test series. Initially, you will solve 5 question papers. After that, again, it is going to go down. That is going to happen. Okay. But you're not supposed to do that. See, that is what is going to, this exam is all about discipline, nothing else. This exam is entirely about discipline. Are you able to, remain focused and dedicated and be disciplined to this particular cause of the exam throughout your entire journey until you see your name in the list? If you're not disciplined, it is going to be a very difficult thing to achieve, and when the result comes out, you're going to be disappointed. That is what is going to happen. Okay, so what else is there? CSAT. Again, problem with CSAT. Some are very good with CSAT, some are not good with CSAT. So many assume that just because I was good in maths, when I was in school or in college or in engineering, I was very good in maths. I can do it. Or there is also a misconception saying that there are ample number of English questions, that is your comprehension. Any CSAT paper will have about 30 comprehension questions on an average. Okay, it would have around 30, and you only need to score. You don't need to. You only need to qualify. You only need to qualify and score how much? 1/3. 1/3, right? I think you have to score at least 67, if I'm not wrong. You only have to score about 67. So what would you feel? You would feel that, I can do it. But again, I have seen people where they score very well in their paper 1, but they screw up or mess up their paper 2, and because of which they are not able to go on to the next stage, that is their mains. So no matter what happens, please do not neglect CSAT. It depends upon your level of understanding and your strengths when it comes to aptitude, English, or numerical ability. The level of the kind of problems, the difficulty level of problems has actually gone up. Earlier, CSAT was not a qualifying paper, and CSAT scores would also be included in determining who goes to the mains, to the next stage. But now, CSAT is only a qualifying paper, and therefore they have made it tough. So if you're not prepared for CSAT, it will become difficult for you to actually score well in CSAT. And even though you are very well prepared in your GS papers, all these papers, if you don't clear that, it is of no use. It is going to be a futile exercise entirely. Okay, finally, current affairs, very important. I am pretty sure I don't have to stress upon the importance of current affairs. Once again, last prelims, an entirely new change to where they started, once again started asking questions about sports, for example. Okay, until now, we never used to read sports, right? If you're reading, I'm pretty sure most of you must be reading the Hindu. So if you're reading the Hindu, what happens? You're never going to reach up to the sports section. Sports section is always skipped until unless you have personal interest in sports section. But last time they asked. But last time, if you've gone through the question paper, I don't know. But if you've gone through the question paper, you would realize that they have asked questions on cricket. I think the Indian cricket test match or something, if I remember correctly. They asked questions on cricket. So there is nothing stopping them from asking anything, because earlier in mains, I remember they had asked a question. Now those kind of questions have phased out, but that doesn't mean that they can't ask anything. So once they had asked a question, your Formula One, right? Formula One, your race cars driving. Okay, what are the different kinds of flags that are used in Formula One racing? So you have checkered flag, blue color flag, red color flag, white color flag. They're used for different purposes to indicate something. Okay, so what are the different kinds of flags that are used? Who the hell knows? What are the different kinds of flags that are used in Formula One racing? At most, if you ask me, I know what is checkered flag. Checkered flag is used to indicate the end of a race. Who the hell knows that what are the different kinds of colors of flags that are used in what do you say, Formula One racing? On top of that, who in India watches Formula One racing? It is a very small, what do you say, number of people who would actually watch Formula One. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it is not possible to learn everything, and there's nothing stopping UPSC from asking any type of question. They might ask you anything from anything under the earth, on the earth, above the earth, in the entire universe. They may, or they can ask. That's a different question as to why are you asking all these questions for becoming an IAS officer? That is an entirely different what do you say, ball game as to why are you even asking such questions. That is a different thing. That you can't argue, or we can't argue. Only thing is that you can hope that your preparation is the best so that you clear through. Okay, so what you have to ensure is that your preparation, you have prepared more than the person sitting next to you. That is all I can say. Okay. So this, I don't think I have to go through this. I'm pretty sure by now you understand the division of papers, be it KPSC or UPSC. If you're writing both, there's a difference between KPSC's paper 1, paper 2, and UPSC's paper 1 and paper 2, and KPSC's paper 1 and paper 2. Okay, even with respect to mains also, there's a difference. For UPSC, how about optional subjects? Are you preparing for optional subjects, or yet to decide what is the optional subjects? So whatever you read for your prelims, the same thing will be used for your mains. So that is the best thing. The reason I'm saying that please focus on polity is because whatever you read for your prelims polity, the same thing you will use for mains as well. The only thing is that you will end up analyzing the things that you read for your prelims. You will have to analyze, you will have to apply, and then you will have to link it with what is happening around you in that at that particular point in time. So it is always analysis, application, and linking with respect to your current affairs. For example, last time there was a question with respect to CBI. Okay, so if you've been reading the news, you'd have read that there is some kind of a skirmish or turmoil between the center and the states as to can the center unanimously use CBI to raid officials in the state. Okay, there were issues like with respect to West Bengal, for example, using CBI, where the state governments they kind of entirely went against it. That was in entirely another different direction. But let's not get into those political things. But based on this particular idea or concept, there was a question as to whether the central government using CBI, because CBI is entirely under the central government, does it affect federalism? Everyone understands what is federalism? Okay, federalism is nothing but division of powers between the center and the state governments. So there is Indian constitution is a federal constitution. Please remember, even though nowhere in the constitution is the term federalism used, in the entire constitution, in about 448 articles that are there in the Indian constitution, the word federalism is used nowhere. But the entire Indian constitution is a federal constitution. Why? Because we have this division of powers between the center and the state. But the center gets to use CBI unitarily, or what do I say, by itself against certain state entities, for example. Then the question is, won't it affect federalism? This is analysis and application, and you have to link it with what has happened in the recent past. So again, I'm reiterating, please study polity thoroughly. Please do not miss it. Okay, please do not neglect it. Be it state government, be it central government exam, KPSC or UPSC, you have to read it. Okay.